Hi everyone, we're going to get started. Thank you for being here. We have a few speakers, it should be a short meeting, and then we're going to do a quick, just any other pending questions. They won't all be translated, but I can definitely support in translating some of them. Gracias por estar aquí. Vamos a tener la conferencia. Hay como 5 personas que van a platicar, a hablar. Y voy a tratar de, no voy a traducir todo, pero voy a tratar de traducir algunas partes. Okay, mi nombre es Viridiana Hernandez. My name is Viridiana Hernandez, and I'm just supporting today with helping y'all get to the speakers. So first, we have Jared from the ACLU. Primero tenemos a Jared de ACLU.
Good morning. My name is Jared Keenan, and I'm a senior staff attorney with the ACLU of Arizona. Following the police killings of George Floyd and Deon Johnson, protests against police violence erupted around the country. During protests in Phoenix, police made massive arrests of peaceful protesters without probable cause. At the time, the Maricopa County Attorney defended the Phoenix Police Department's unlawful use of copy and paste probable cause statements, calling it an efficient way of doing police business. Now, the Maricopa County Attorney's Office is doubling down on its efforts to chill free speech by charging protesters with being part of a criminal street gang. We are here today to raise the alarm that the charging of protesters as gang members is a blatant effort to suppress the movement against police violence by prosecuting the right to speech. These prosecutions are both radical and dangerous and should alarm anyone who cares about the First Amendment rights to free speech and assembly. Make no mistake, these are political prosecutions, similar to those our legal system denounces when they occur in authoritarian regimes elsewhere around the world. What is striking is that the county attorney's office will decline to file charges when it believes no probable cause exists, generally in cases where police kill someone. But when it comes to protesters exercising their First Amendment rights, the Maricopa County Attorney's Office takes a markedly different approach of charging now and asking questions later, if at all. Worse, the charges that the county attorney is now filing, which allege that protesters are part of a criminal street gang, are very serious felony offenses that can potentially send someone to prison for well over a decade. Overcharging is nothing new to the Maricopa County Attorney's Office, but filing trumped-up charges of gang affiliation against those who the office views as their political rival has absolutely no place in a free society. We demand that the County Attorney's Office immediately drop these charges. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we have Sarah Tyree from the Unity Collective.
Grand Rising friends, my name is Sarah Tyree. I'm a community activist and one of the Unity Collective leaders. The UC is here today in solidarity with our sisters and brothers who are actively fighting to end systemic racism, oppression, and are demanding transparency and accountability specifically from law enforcement agencies across Maricopa County and the state of Arizona. Arizona has 3 cities in the top 10 of the nation for the most police shootings, Phoenix being one of them. Over the last 6 months, we have seen a dramatic increase of police violence, bullying, intimidation, and harassment specifically from Phoenix PD. They have exacerbated and escalated situations that could have and should have been simple cite and release. They have wrongly and unjustly incarcerated people under false and made-up charges. They have set a verbal and visual narrative that the community should fear Black people. Assistant Chief Connolly has made statements to the UC that they pre-plan which nonviolent protesters they will arrest, and this is shameful and racially motivated in itself. Additionally, he has made multiple master and slave statements, like PPD allows us to practice our First Amendment and constitutional rights. You do not own us. You do not own these or any streets. In fact, it is we, the taxpayer, who supply your salary and who pay these streets. We will continue to fight for our right to live freely and without harassment from those who are meant to protect and serve. Thank you.
Okay, now we have Joel with the Arizona Advocacy Network.
My name is Joel Edmond. I'm with Arizona Advocacy Network. We work for democracy in Arizona. We fight for democracy and to protect the democracy we have and to work for a better one in this state and in this country. And there may be no greater threat to democracy in Arizona right now than these trumped-up prosecutions brought by Maricopa County Attorney's Office against protesters who are in the streets fighting for democracy, fighting for accountability, for racial justice, for the right to live, some of the fundamental tenets of a free democracy. And the response that we've seen from the county attorney's office has been political prosecutions. Prosecutions that are designed to silence, that are designed to stop the movement for Black lives, that are designed to stop the fight for democracy here in this county and in this state. And if we saw this happening in any other country in the world, it would be easy for us to name that as a political prosecution, as an act by the state to suppress speech, to suppress calls for change, to suppress demands for justice. And so here we also have to recognize that these are political prosecutions. These are the kinds of things we would expect from an authoritarian regime and that we must resist in a democracy. So we demand that the Maricopa County Attorney's Office drop all charges against protesters, that it end all political prosecutions, and we demand that counterterrorism and law enforcement agencies in this state stop their actions of surveilling civil rights organizations who are fighting for justice and democracy in our communities. Thank you.
Voy a traducir en pocas palabras un poco el resumen de lo que conversó Joe, que dice que ese departamento ha por los últimos 6 meses tratado de silenciar, intimidar a nuestra comunidad, encarcelando a gente, a organizadores, activistas, a demostradores que están luchando contra la violencia policíaca. Esto son esfuerzos que se han escalado con este tipo de cargo que han dado, que están tratando de decir que que son pandillas criminales. Es una manera de seguir escalando esta violencia contra los protestantes que están luchando contra la violencia policíaca. Entonces, exigimos que el condado de Maricopa quite todos estos cargos a todos los protestantes y también exigimos el fin a estas persecuciones políticas. Con eso, ahora se lo voy a pasar a Monica de the Outlaw Project. So now I'm going to bring up Monica Jones from the Outlaw Project.
Hi, my name is Monica Jones. I'm with the Outlaw Project. What we are is a sex worker rights organization based in Phoenix, Arizona. What we achieve at the Outlaw Project is to decriminalize the interactions that leads to the direct contact with police, such as drug use, sex work, and any misdemeanor charges. And so at the Outlaw Project, our thing is like, when we really want to decriminalize the police, defund the police, what does that look like? What does that look like moving funds back into the education system, back into direct services within our own community. The outlaw practice is strongly against the arrest of black trans women, of anyone, right, in this police state. And what we aim to achieve is to educate people on the criminalization of these laws, such as loitering with the intent, manifestation laws that target black and brown people and are in directly low-income areas that target minority communities, such as trans women, women of color. And these leads to direct contact with the criminal justice system, and we must end that. And that's why the Outlaw stands in solidarity.
Okay, our final two speakers, we have Julie Garnagle, and then we'll have Tony after.
Good morning, my name is Julie Garnagle. I'm a local attorney who is deeply invested in reforming our criminal legal system. I need those watching to understand that the criminal prosecutions that are happening right now of our political protesters are absolutely beyond the pale. The criminal gang enhancement was never designed to be used against protected First Amendment activity, and that this represents an assault on the very foundations of our democracy and an assault on the First Amendment. Because when the government abuses its power and uses the criminal legal system for illegitimate purposes and uses it to silence and intimidate critics of the government, it's called political prosecution. I need you to understand that those who are out in our streets who are protesting the giant racial disparities that Maricopa County has become known for, that they are right and that their cause is just, and that what we've seen is a coordinated effort from hyper-partisan and biased organizations who are aiding an unaccountable police department in its efforts to silence these political opponents. Last, I need you to understand that whether or not you are someone who is out protesting these injustices, or if you are someone who is watching this effort from your couch and from your living room, that it will be the citizens of Maricopa County who end up paying for these political prosecutions. Because we will pay in our First Amendment rights. We will pay when one day we want to become part of the protest. We will pay with what will inevitably become the giant civil settlements that this county attorney is going to bring on itself, and we are going to pay in terms of our limited taxpayer resources when those come to be. What is happening now is unjust, and I am so pleased to lend my voice to the chorus of voices that are saying that this is wrong and begging for transparency and accountability out of our county attorney's office. Thank you so much.
And now we have Tony with Black Lives Matter.
My name is Tony, and I'm representing Black Abolitionist Collaborative, which includes Black Lives Matter, Phoenix Metro Mass Liberation, Arizona Black Phoenix Organization Collective, Drinking Gourd Farms, and Phoenix Local Organizing Committees. We are a collaborative of Black abolitionists who have been working to co-create futures here in Phoenix by creating the world they said was impossible. We work to rebuild and reinvest our communities and support people who have been harmed by carceral state through the Black People Justice Fund. Hundreds of community members have been racially profiled, surveillanced by the state, and treated like terrorists over the summer. Police and prosecuted have hunted our community like animals and fabricated charges against people who have simply marching for racial justice. Now that they have further criminalized these people by charging them as gang members, many of these people are very young, some minors. Many of these people are very young and protesting their agencies. It's outrageous and unacceptable. It is a gross abuse of power, and it is complete injustice. We demand that MCAU drop all charges against all prosecutors. We demand an end to all political persecution, and we demand that counterterrorism agencies stop surveilling and community and civil rights organizations immediately. Thank you.
Voy a traducir un poco de lo que dijo Tony. Tony está aquí representando la colaborativa abolicionista negra, que incluye Black Lives Matter, Mass Liberation Arizona, Black Phoenix Organizing Collective, Drinking Gourd, and Phoenix Local Organizing Committee. Y están aquí uniéndose con cientos de comunidades que han experimentado el perfil racial de este departamento, que los están tratando como terroristas por protestar contra la violencia a las vidas negras, que quieren criminalizar, cargar a las personas con cargos de miembros de pandillas. Esta es gente que son jóvenes, son algunos tienen menos de 18 años, son juveniles, y están haciendo esto porque estamos protestando a estas agencias violentas, estamos protestando a la policía y a este departamento violento. Esto es inaceptable, es una falta y uso de abuso horrendo y es completamente injusto. Entonces, exigimos que este condado quite todos los cargos de todos los protestantes. Exigimos un fin a la persecución política y exigimos que esta agencia de terroristas deje de seguir siguiendo a nuestras organizaciones, deje de seguir atacando a nuestras organizaciones, y exigimos que la ciudad de Phoenix tome acción para que este departamento deje de seguir actuando violentamente. Try to translate as much as possible. And so I just wanted to reiterate, those were the demands that Tony said, and that there's a lot of organizations here, because this is, as many have said, beyond just one person or one group. This is attacking all of our rights to just freedom of speech. And so we have organizations, we have Chispa, Chasco Pueblo, the Unity Collective, Arizona Advocacy Network, the Outlaw Project, Fuerte, BLM Phoenix Metro, Black Phoenix Organizing Collective, Mass Liberation, the ACLU, Poder in Action, People's Law Firm, Ibarra Maldonado Law Firm, Nunez Law Firm, Progress Now, Indivisible, and the Black Abolitionist Collective. So those are just some of the organizations that could join us today, and the Arizona Dream Act Coalition. So those are some of the organizations that were able to join us today, and again, to demand the end to political prosecutions, all of these charges to be dropped, and the city of Phoenix to stop targeting people who are fighting against police violence. Con eso voy a nomás decir que las organizaciones que tenemos aquí es una coalición expansiva, porque esto no es solamente un asunto para las comunidades negras o latinas, esto es un asunto para todos. Están atacando nuestro derecho a expresarnos libremente, porque no les gusta lo que les decimos, los quieren criminalizar y encarcelar. Y por eso hoy se están uniendo muchas organizaciones, Chispa, Chasco Pueblo, Unity Collective, Arizona Advocacy Network, Outlaw Project, Fuerte. I already said all those, so all the orgs again. And that's why we're here. And so there will be, if there's any question, we'll see if we can answer. Does anyone have a question or would like individual interviews? No?
Sorry, what was the question?
Legal action in response to prosecutions.
The ACLU is always looking into every situation that we think is problematic for potential litigation. I can't really say that we're looking specifically into this issue right now to file litigation.
Well, I haven't heard anything from the African American Christian Clergy Coalition. They weren't even mentioned, and I wanted to know what the morning. My name is Reverend Reginald D. Walton. I serve as the Civic Engagement Chairperson for the African American Christian Clergy Coalition, which is a coalition of over 100 historically black congregations here in Maricopa County. One of the first things we want to address is the slippery slope of charging people simply exercising their First Amendment rights. But it seems that this office continuously targets black and Latino people who are exercising their First Amendment rights. You did not see charges come out of the brutality and the horror that we saw in the face of or in response to the protests from the from the election. And so the African American Christian Clergy Coalition is here standing in solidarity with these groups. And also, we caution the county attorney from taking a meeting and telling people that that meeting is an endorsement from the African American community. No, it is not. It is simply us trying to figure out where your mind is and what is going on. And so we stand in solidarity with those who are exercising their voices and who are speaking truth to power, regardless of the political prosecution, regardless of the terror that has been inflicted on this community. And one last thing. Yes, the election results have said that County Attorney Adele is the county attorney for the next 4 years. But that does not mean that voices will be silenced. That does not mean that she is above critique. And lastly, that does not mean that we are not already working on her replacement. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Thank you so much. But wanted to do a quick, just in conjunction with the party, this has been an ongoing issue, and it has been complex and complicated trying to understand what this is. So we have organizations that invited you are hosting briefings to do more of the history, the legal system of what is happening in this moment and why this is so critical for everyone to show up and why we reached out. Thank you so much for responding so quickly in such a short notice. But the repercussions of this moment are huge. And I think it's really, and we know that it's important for all of us to really understand what is happening and to really understand like the consequences of this moment. And so we have a few